My name is Vethrai OSC, and I am the only living archivist of the Cathedral of Records. This is not a boast. A cathedral this old should have outlived a dozen keepers by now, and instead it has only ever had one. The others who trained beside me took posts in brighter wings of the vault. Trade collapses, agricultural failures, the long, slow grind of empires losing interest in their own borders. I asked for the human ledger instead. I have never been thanked for that, and I have stopped expecting to be. The cathedral is hollowed from the heart of an asteroid the Khaldun Compact claimed 400 years ago, back when claiming things still felt like progress. Inside, the records are pressed light, sealed in slabs of black glass that hum faintly when you walk past them, as if they remember being written. Most shelves are crowded, restless, constantly updated. Battles, treaties, the small, noisy business of a galaxy that talks too much about itself. The human ledger is the quietest shelf in the cathedral, and the only one that frightens the junior archivists into silence when they pass it. It frightens them because of what it does not contain. 311 manifests are sealed there. 311 fleets, expeditions, lone vessels, and one entire armada that left a known point in the galaxy and entered the sector we mark on every chart still printed today as forbidden. Not a single manifest has a closing entry. Every other shelf in this cathedral ends its stories, victories, defeats, surrenders, extinctions. All of them get a final line. The human ledger does not. Each manifest just stops, mid-sentence, mid-transmission, mid-breath, and then there's nothing. No requiricaver. No survivors deveria fer. No bodies return for the dignity of a name on a stone. Just a manifest. And then silence, filed and shelved and left to hum in the dark. I have read all 311. I am, as far as I know, the only being alive who has. I tell you this because 2 months ago a delegation from the Anvil Compact came to my cathedral, and I watched them not listen to a single word of it. They were young, by the measure of a compact that had only existed for 3 generations. Flush with a new or vein discovered along the edge of the forbidden sector. Rich, deep, the kind of find that makes a young species believe its luck has finally turned. Their cartographer was a sharp-eyed officer named Dalmin Thray, and she walked into my cathedral with the confidence of someone who has never once had to revise a plan because of something she couldn't see coming. We only need to skirt the edge, she told me, as if that detail mattered. Not enter deep, just enough to pull the oar and withdraw before anyone. She stopped herself, embarrassed at the word she'd almost used, and chose another. Before anyone notices. I did not laugh. It would have been cruel, and I am not a cruel woman, whatever the council whispers about the keeper who never smiles. Instead, I walked her down the long aisle to the human ledger and pulled the first manifest I could reach. This is the Sail Ascendancy's 3rd expedition, I told her. 41 ships. They also believed they only needed to skirt the edge. I let the slab hum between us. Read the manifest. She read it. I watched her face do what every face does. Confidence sliding into the discomfort of a person realizing the story has no ending, and that the absence of an ending is the entire point. It just stops, she said. They all stop, I said. Read another. She read 3 more before her hands moved slower over the slabs. I did not tell her what to feel. I have learned, over 4 centuries of tending this shelf, that explaining the dread only cheapens it. The manifests do the work themselves if you let them. There has to be a survivor somewhere, she said, the way people always say it, as though the absence of one is simply a filing error I have not yet corrected. A wreck, a black box, something. There is nothing, I said. Not silence, because we lack the records. Silence because the records end and there is nothing more to write. 311, Dalmin said quietly, reading the tally plate at the end of the aisle. We don't count the dead. I corrected her. We were never given anything to count. We only count the silences. She left that day unconvinced, not loudly, not with the bravado her elders might have shown a generation ago, but the quiet, stubborn, unconvinced of someone whose compact's entire future now depended on that or vein. I recognized the look. I had seen it on sail cartographers, on Thrin elders, on the captain of a Voss scout ship who once stood exactly where she stood and told me, with real kindness, that an archivist who'd never flown a ship herself could not be expected to understand strategic necessity. I did not argue with dull men, because arguing only convinces a young compact that the warning is a dare. 5 weeks later, the Anvil Compact's mining fleet crossed the marked edge of human space. 11 vessels, light-armed, fast, built to skim and withdraw before her word, anyone noticed. I know they crossed because for 6 days their fleet beacon pulsed steadily on the cathedral's long-range registry, the way every fleet's beacon does when they believe they are simply doing their work and going home. On the 7th day, the beacon did not pulse, did not flicker, did not send one last garbled distress call for historians to argue over for a century. It went dark between one cycle and the next, the way a candle goes out when there is no longer a reason for it to be burning. I waited the customary interval, 11 days, the same interval applied to every vanished fleet for 4 centuries, and then I did what I have done 311 times before. I opened a new manifest, copied in everything the registry could confirm, names, ship classes, or coordinates that started this. And at the bottom, where the cursor blinked for a closing line that would never come, I wrote the only true sentence available to me. Contact lost, no further transmission received. I sealed it into the black glass myself. It hums now beside the others, indistinguishable from them in every way that matters. The council asked me, afterward, to appear before them and explain what I believed had happened to the Anvil fleet. They have asked this every time for 400 years, and every time I have given them the same answer because it is the only honest one I have. I do not know. No one knows. That is not evasion. That is the shape of the truth. We do not know what waits past that line. Only that whatever it is has never once, in 311 recorded attempts, allowed a single voice to come back and describe it. Not a triumphant one, not a broken one, none. A young counselor, new to her seat, pressed me harder than the others usually do. She wanted to know if I believe the humans did this deliberately, the way a war is fought, or whether something else lived in that sector alongside them, something older and stranger that the humans themselves might fear as much as we do. I told her the truth, which is that I have stopped asking that question, because the ledger does not answer it and never will, and a keeper who demands answers from a shelf that only offers silence will eventually go mad asking. I have watched 2 of my predecessors do exactly that in the early centuries before the post was given solely to me. I do not intend to become the third. She did not like my answer. Few do. But she stopped asking, because there is nothing else to ask once you understand that the silence is not a gap in our knowledge. It is the knowledge. I am old now by the measure of my kind, and I expect I will tend this shelf until I cannot, and then someone else will take the keys, and the human ledger will go on doing exactly what it has done for 4 centuries, receiving manifests, never closing them, humming quietly in the dark while compact after compact convinces itself this time will be different. It will not be different. I have read all 311. I will read the 312th when it comes, because hubris does not learn from a shelf it has never visited. And when it comes, I will copy in the names and write the only line the archive has ever permitted me to write, and seal it into the black glass beside the others. And I will not explain it to anyone who asks me to make it make sense. Some doors are not meant to be opened twice to check what's behind them. The human ledger is not a warning written for those who can still read it. It is a record kept for whoever comes looking after we are all gone, so that something somewhere will know we tried to say this clearly for as long as we were able. We do not know what is in human space. We only know, with absolute certainty, what is not, a way back out.